Thank you for being here today.
Hanging around with the wrong crowd, you know what's gonna come with it.
People sleep peaceably in their beds at night because rough men stand ready to do violence on their behalf.
However, today I'm coming before you to address the 420,000 residents that I have taken an oath to protect and serve. That I have taken an oath to protect and serve.
Has he failed?
Go! I'm going! Get out of here! Get out of here! Get out of here! Go! Get down on the ground! Get down!
Dude, I'm pressed.
Where's your press sign?
Dude, on my hat, bro.
You stay right here. Don't move.
Bro, I'm not, what the hell, man? Jesus
Don't
Christ.
move.
There was no reason for tackling me on the ground, so I got a scrape.
That I have taken an oath to protect and serve.
So I'm pretty sure this is the officer that attacked me and pushed me down to the ground and then claimed that he didn't tackle me, even though I have video evidence, and he should have video evidence on his body camera that we're gonna have to request. So his name was Anderson. I did confirm that on his chest there, and he told me his badge number was 0107. Yeah, he's been involved in a lot of stuff here. Apparently he shot and killed this Fong Lee. They were pretty angered by the verdict here. Here, let's open these up. I already have some. Here's another article on him. Fired Minnesota officers have a proven career saver, arbitration. So apparently he got his job back after he was fired.
That I have taken an oath to protect and serve.
So he has actually killed somebody. Yeah, he won't take a drug test, I guess. Oh, that's the union objective. Oh yeah, so he's got union protections, right?
I want to take a few minutes as the current chief of police to share my beliefs and thoughts as someone who has served in public safety for this city for over 30 years.
Another tragedy. Another person dead.
1995 was a grim year in Minneapolis. A violent summer led to so many killings that the Hennepin County Medical Examiner ran out of body bags and had to ask for more money. That year eventually set a record for the most homicides the city has ever seen and spawned the infamous nickname Murderapolis. But when you directly compare, this year isn't that far off. There were 74 homicides by September 13th, 1995. So far this year, there have been 66. Put recent homicide numbers on a graph and you can see how out of place this year and last year look. Homicides are up 12% from last year, and it's more than double any of the 12 years before that. A recent in-depth Star Tribune report found 90% of gunfire reports come from just 5 neighborhoods in North Minneapolis and south of downtown.
just have to keep prayers in. Get these guns away from these babies. They think they playing these games, thinking they can come back to life. It's not happening. It's not so.
12-year-old London Michael Bean was shot to death last week, joining Anaya Allen and Trinity Otterson Smith as the faces of innocence lost to violence in the city this year. None of those children's murders have been solved, and many city residents are asking, what will it take to turn this trend around?
Turn these shooters in, please. Please turn these shooters in.
As chief, I'm sharing what the reality looks like on the ground, what our men and women are experiencing, and what I've also seen in my 3 decades of doing this work, and certainly the last 4 years as chief. And I believe I have an obligation to share that. First and foremost, our officers need support. They need the tools, the equipment, the training and funding to do their job.
All right, we're rolling down Lake Street. The first we see, we're just hammering them with 40s.
Yes, sir.
Is that a good copy?
The jarring new footage released by Stallings' attorney made it appear the officers in the van were on a mission that night to target random pedestrians and curfew violators with less lethal rounds.
We want to know a critical point of public safety in our city. And I never wanted the MPD to be a one-dimensional department responding solely to 911 calls.
Go, go, go. Get up there. Get up there. Let them have it, boys. Let them have it.
Get out of here!
As some of you may recall, back in 2018, I went before our city council and I asked for 400 more officers, knowing what we could be up against in the coming years.
Good evening. We begin tonight with a Lyft driver robbed this afternoon at gunpoint. It's part of a terrifying trend in Minneapolis.
Police say the first carjacking happened here in the 1400 block of West Lake Street around 6:15 Monday night, and then over the next hour and a half or so, there would be 5 others, all here in South Minneapolis.
Good morning. Minneapolis police say just last night there were 6 attempts to steal cars. It happened between 6 and 8.
Thanks for joining us. There's a citywide crime alert in Minneapolis.
I explained then that I felt that our city was hemorrhaging, and in some circles I was mocked. But you fast forward to 3 years, we're flatlining right now. We are down a third of our sworn officers, and we have asked these officers that have remained, who continue to show up day and night to help serve our communities and keep them safe, but we're asking so much more of them.
And it's outrageous to me that the wrong person was charged, that the wrong person was dragged through the criminal justice system.
A jury ruled that Stallings acted in self-defense when he fired back at the SWAT officers who fired a rubber bullet at him. SWAT officers who were rolling down the street in an unmarked van. And that contrary to what the officers initially said, Stallings, who had a legal permit for his gun, did not resist arrest.
Our citizens need to know that they have those numbers. They need to know that they are going to have an adequate police department coming to assist them on their calls and not simply just responding to 911 calls.
In April of 2015, the city of Minneapolis organized a gang unit to help keep gang activity to a minimum. In the recent months, there has been an abundance of shootings and deaths on the north and south side of Minneapolis.
We want to be there to be an inspiration and build positive relationships with our youth, to protect our elders, to look after our business owners. That is so critically important.
Simple. There's been plenty of people in this world that's been high before, and they didn't get murdered in the middle of the street like a dog.
Now, as chief, I can't tell you what ballot question number 2 will achieve for your public safety if it passes.
All right, what the real thing is with this is not about eliminating a police department or having a police department. It's creating change because the citizens are fed up with the way the police are handling these situations, and they're out of options and ideas.
Because no one, including the authors of the ballot or those supporting it, have clearly stated that either. As chief, though, here is what I can tell you ballot question number 2 will not do for you. It will not eliminate tragic incidents between police and community from ever occurring in our city.
And it's outrageous to me that the wrong person was charged, that the wrong person was dragged through the criminal justice system.
A group of civil rights leaders stood across the street from Minneapolis City Hall, reacting to footage we first showed you earlier this week, the moments before, during, and after the arrest of Jaleel Stallings. A jury ruled that Stallings acted in self-defense when he fired back at the SWAT officers who fired a rubber bullet at him. SWAT officers who were rolling down the street in an unmarked van.
It will not reduce the disproportionate violent crime disparities involving African American victims that has been a public health crisis in our city for decades.
Don't get tough out here, nigga. You ain't wood, nigga. I don't give no fuck about none of that. Nigga, I'm smooth, nigga. Fuck you mean, nigga. Fuck you mean, nigga. Boy, I'm not with none of that. We can fight, we can do whatever, nigga. Rico don't reach for nothing, nigga. Don't reach.
It will not suddenly change a culture of a police department that has been in existence for 155 years. It will not engender trust or confidence in new economic and business development, tourism, and entertainment opportunities for this great city of ours. It will not help the MPD's effort to recruit, hire, and retain a diverse workforce of caring, service-dedicated professionals.
Case in 2017, Mohammed Noor, while on duty as a Minneapolis police officer, killed Justine Rushek after she had called 911 out of concern for a woman she heard screaming behind her home.
And it will not make it easier for neighboring law enforcement jurisdictions to assist the city of Minneapolis in our crime reduction efforts. All the things that I just mentioned, this charter amendment ballot will not change. So then I urge you to ask yourself, what is truly the goal of this ballot question? Having a holistic approach to public safety does not require a drastic change to our city charter. The future of public safety for our city requires this. Requires all of us to see each other as necessary, not to deal in absolutes, to be respectful towards one another even if we disagree, to talk with each other and not past each other. We need to inspire hope and remember that our children are watching us during this time and we have to do right by them. Thank you.
Because it didn't happen immediately. Instead, we had to beg for it, we had to fight for it, we had to destroy things for it. And that's not fair.
In a letter to members that emerged earlier this week, Lieutenant Robert Kroll seemed to refer to the protest as a terrorist movement and said that officers had been illegally terminated. In response, a former Minneapolis police chief called Kroll, quote, a disgrace to the badge.
There is a problem with policing in the city of Minneapolis.
Janae Harteau stepped down as the city's police chief in 2017 after another deadly police shooting. She's now among the chorus of voices, including several Minnesota labor organizations, calling on police union head Robert Kroll to resign. Earlier this week, he claimed in a letter that the officers charged in George Floyd's killing were fired without due process.
Do you think it's fair to point the finger strictly at Lieutenant Bob Kroll?
No, but I do think it begins with Bob Kroll. He is the loudest voice.
All of our actions, they have an impact.
In 2017, Madaria Arredondo took over for Harteau, becoming Minneapolis's first black police chief. But a decade earlier, he and 4 other officers filed a discrimination lawsuit against the department, claiming it systemically and continuously discriminated in favor of white persons and subjected black officers to a hostile work environment. The complaint also accused Kroll of making racist statements and wearing a motorcycle jacket with a white power badge. The city settled the lawsuit for $740,000 without admitting liability.
The Minneapolis Police Department will prohibit fear-based trainings.
And just last year, when Mayor Jacob Frey banned so-called warrior training, which teaches officers to view all interactions as potentially dangerous and equips them with a readiness to kill, Kroll partnered with a private company to continue offering that training.
In my city and in cities around the country, we militarized policing.
R.T. Ryback was the mayor of Minneapolis from 2002 to 2013.
We are at a crisis point right now. We can't do everything overnight, but we can stand up and kneel down and recognize that this is a moment in which we've got to make the change.
We should mention that Lieutenant Kroll is married to an anchor at our Minneapolis station WCCO TV, and they say she has not reported on the department or union issues for at least 2.5 years. Anthony?
All right, Jamie, thank you. And we did reach out to Kroll for comment, but have not heard back.
All right, guys, I just want to leave this video with you. I tried to show a bunch of different sides of everything that was going on, but the main thing is, leave a comment. Tell me what you think. Let's have the conversation. I think that's most important. Please just try to be respectful in the comments. This is something we have to talk about to come up with resolutions and plans. Again, thanks for watching. Jason with Minnesota News Now out.